What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Welcome back to the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Y'all know I got another banger for you, so kick back, relax, and come take a ride with your boy. Now, LSU was the defending national champions. The season didn't quite go as we expected, with Hailey Van Lith joining the squad and then eventually transferring. They've lost Angelica Valise. They've lost Janae Kent, and they have to replace some players. Now, they hit the transfer portal hard, and I think they return a better group than they had last season, to be honest. They also lose Angel Reese, so they have to replace that production. But they bring back Flau'jae Johnson, Anissa Morrow, and Michaela Williams, one of the best big threes in the nation, and they've brought in some complementary pieces to add depth and more defensive presence to that backcourt. Today, I want to talk about 5 breakout players that I think could be in for a big season with LSU and help elevate them and keep them in the national spotlight and potentially get them back into the Final Four and beyond. But before we get into all that, make sure y'all hit that subscribe button for all the latest and the greatest, and join our memberships. We got that exclusive content coming daily, weekly, whenever you need it. Now, let's get into it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
Coach Kim Mulkey has been active in the transfer portal. We know that much, and there's a few transfers I want to talk about. But first, we got to talk about one key player who was injured. She was on that national championship team. She was injured majority of the year, but she was one of the top scorers on this team, and they missed her dearly. We're talking about the sophomore sensation, Toaya Smith, the forward, who would have provided depth, more athletic ability, and a scoring punch for this LSU team. Now, Leah Del Rosario was forced to play minutes, maybe more so than she was expecting to coming into this year, with Smith being on the injury block. But let's not forget, man, Smith, in the short time we saw her last year, was impressive. Smith averaged 11.7 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, and almost an assist. She was shooting an incredible 66% from the field. You see, when her minutes almost doubled last season, the production more than doubled. And honestly, man, looking at her defensive presence too, at 6'2", long, athletic, rangy, averaging 1.6 blocks per game. Before she did go out with the injury, man, she was 5th on this team in scoring and 3rd in rebounds. That is a major loss. We only saw her in 7 games last season. I think she's a player, she comes back fully healthy, could be a dominant force for this group and really provide a spark that they did not have last year. Especially the way this team likes to play in transition. Smith is agile. She's very mobile. She gets up and down the floor like a gazelle. She can shoot the ball a little bit. She's skilled on the block. And we mentioned the defensive presence as well. She's been on that championship team. She knows what it takes to get to that level. She, you know what I'm saying, to play at the big stage. Sometimes teams have to learn how to win, and Smith has been a part of the highs and the lows in her 2 years at LSU. Still a young player, only got 1 full season under her belt. I think she comes back and really makes an impact next year on both sides of the basketball. We could see her in the starting lineup next to Anissa Morrow. Maybe they decide to go a little smaller and put her at the 5. You know, they would complement each other well, and these 2 bigs would be 2 of the most mobile and skilled bigs to match up with in the SEC. So I'm looking at Smith coming back, having a huge season. I know she's going to be hungry. She's had to sit and watch a lot of games, not being able to help her team on the sidelines. So I'm excited to see her come back and really get active this season. Another player that was already on this roster we talked about, Laster Poa. She saw a lot of minutes at point guard last year. She had that brutal fall. She led this team in charges taken. She came on really strong, took minutes away from Hailey Van Lith. And you know what I'm saying, really was the lead playmaker for this group. And the offense a lot of times looked a lot smoother and a lot more fluent. The ball was moving when Poa was in the game. Last season, through 36 games, we saw her playing time go up from 12.5 minutes to 20.1. She averaged 4.9 points, 1.5 rebounds, and 3 assists on the season for LSU. She was 2nd on the team in assists, and Honestly, man, like we said, the offense looked better. Her defensive versatility, being able to really guard either guard spot, her length, her motor, her tenacity, and just her IQ really helped LSU out of some really, really tight spots last year. Just her being able to be poised and be like a coach on the floor for Kim Mulkey, I think she slots into that starting point guard spot this year. It's there for her to take it, to fill that role, to take the reins of this offense, and she's capable of just being a distributor and getting these scores around her the basketball, making life easier. She's not a liability on defense like we saw Haley Van Lith was at times last year. Her and Flage are locking up. I'm telling you, that's going to be a tough perimeter defensive duo for this group. I think Poa, she's been around. She's also part of that national championship team. I think that she can come in and be the starter. She's capable. We saw her be able to shoot the basketball, knock down three-pointers. You got to respect the J. Every game she got, every rep she took, she got better, she got more confident, and I look for her to be a potential breakout candidate for LSU. If they want to get back to the promised land, Last Poa is going to have a big year in that point guard spot. But they did add a lot of depth in the backcourt. But before we get there, I want to talk about one more player, Del Rosario, who, size, big, physical, looked lost at times. I gotta be honest. So, I think something has to click, a switch has to flip for her. But if it all comes together, man, we're talking about a 5-star recruit, McDonald's All-American, one of the highest rated bigs coming out of her class last season. She's a specimen, and she really could be valuable at the 5. They used her in certain matchups last season to provide size. She was Angel Reese's primary backup, and she showed she's skilled, man. She absorbs contact, she's active on the glass, and she moves really well for her size. Del Rosario averaged 4.7 points, 3.5 rebounds on 54.1% shooting, averaged 11.2 minutes per game, and played in 37 games. She also averaged almost a block per game as well, almost half a steal. And at 6'6", she's a specimen. She's solid. She has that potential to be that elite rebounder, that anchor in the paint, to be a number one, low post scoring option, a reliable, maybe not number one, because, Anissa Morrow's going to take that, but a reliable scoring option for them. Just her size alone, she's the biggest player on the roster. They need her to develop. Coach Kim Mulkey has been good about getting the best out of her players and developing talent over the years. We know she's active in the transfer portal, but we've seen how Flage Johnson has flourished there. Last Poa has continued to improve. And I think Del Rosario has as much upside as anybody on this roster, man. It's just got to come together. It's got to click, and she's got to realize, I'm 6'6", and start moving people out of the way. But I think if they continue to work on her conditioning, if they continue to work on her adjusting to the speed of the game, the physicality of the game, and get her IQ up a little bit within this system, and she understands where she needs to be and how to be the most effective, I think they will look for her to get the ball a little bit more next season. So I would look for Del Rosario to be that anchor in the paint for this group. And if she can take that next step and have a breakout sophomore year, watch out, man, because LSU will really be a problem with her leading the way in the paint, man, playing next to Anissa Morrow. They've got shooters. They brought in more shooting, more defense. If they can get reliable production in the paint from Del Rosario, it would go a long way for this group. Speaking of the transfers, there's a couple that they brought in that I think could really be beneficial. First off, we got to talk about the transfer out of Arizona. Gilbert, 5'8" sophomore guard, man, averaged 15.1 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 2.3 assists. Shot 41.9 from the field and shot over 40% from 3. That's going to be major for LSU, man. She played in only 23 games last season, but I think she is really a candidate to be a breakout player. A natural bucket getter, quick guard, plays defense as well, isn't a liability, is crafty, can really shoot it from deep, can create off the dribble, can, you know what I'm saying, get her offense, but she can also play, make, and create for others. So I think she will definitely see some minutes at both guard spots. You could put her, Lester Poa, and Michaela Williams or Flage out there together, and I don't think they lose much of a step when one of these big three goes to the bench. So I like Gilbert. I like her fit. I like her tenacity. I like that she's a competitor, and I like that she's not afraid to take the big shots. Because at times, LSU really didn't have a closer last year. Gilbert can provide that. Also, I want to talk about the Miami transfer. Cheyenne Day Wilson, another small guard, 5'6" junior from Miami University of Miami, originally via Toronto, Canada. She averaged 11.9 points, 2.7 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. Another guard that's going to add production in that backcourt who can shoot it. She had her best career shooting year from 3 last year and from the field, shooting 41.4%. Playing the most minutes she's ever played. And she broke out. She was ACC Freshman of the Year really early in her freshman year at Duke and really proved that, you know, she was one of the better players in her class. Took a step back last season, but really got back going this year. And I think they can help her get back to that freshman year production in her senior year. We're talking about another scorer, another capable playmaker. You put her on this team last year, she would have led LSU in assists. So she's more of a playmaker than Gilbert, but still a defensive presence, scrappy, quick, active hands, fast with the basketball. These guys are going to really be able to come in, guard, shoot the three, and run. And LSU, one of the best transition teams in the nation, they like to push the pace. They really like to get up and down the floor, and now they have the personnel to really do that. They are going to be deep in the backcourt. They are going to be deep. And I'm excited to see how these players mesh together, how the depth works, the different lineups and situations Coach Kim Mulkey can throw out there. We know, man, she's creative with just throwing different looks depending on the matchup. So it'll be exciting to see these players gel. They've got some experience, you know what I'm saying? And they got a couple other transfers too that I've highlighted in previous videos. But I really wanted to talk about 5 breakout players that I thought could really make a difference for this team. And those are the players that I think are leading the way right now. I think Gilbert has the best chance to really explode for this team. But don't sleep on Wilson either, man. 2 experienced guards that have played, have won a lot of games, have produced against some of the toughest competition in the nation, and that understand the pressure that comes with the spotlight that is on you when you play at a school like LSU. And where do y'all ultimately see LSU finishing next season? What is the floor for this team, and what is the ceiling? Y'all holler at your boy. Let me know in the comments how y'all feel. That's a wrap for us. For all the latest and the greatest, I am Brandon Blakeney, a.k.a. Brandon Lee TV. Until next time, hey, we out.